did defend well and created some slight scoring chances. And in other DStv fixtures that took place, Stellenbosch went into a 2-0 draw with Amazulu, while Baroka lost 1-0 to Chipa United, and SuperSports United lost 2-1. And in other DStv fixtures that took went into a draw with Mamelodi Sundowns 0-0, and Sekhukhune United won 1-0 over Royal AM. Today, two matches in the fixture: TS Galaxy and Swallows FC at 15:30, as well as Maritzburg Pretoria will be cloudy and cool with temperature highs of 21 degrees with extensive thunder showers. Johannesburg cloudy and cool with temperature highs of 20 degrees with extensive thunder showers. Cape Town partly cloudy and warm with temperature highs of 24 degrees. Durban cloudy and warm with temperature highs of 24 degrees with extensive thunder showers. Bloemfontein cloudy and hot with temperature highs of 29 degrees with extensive thunder showers. Polokwane cloudy and cool with temperature highs of 20 degrees with extensive thunder showers. Uppington partly cloudy and hot with temperature highs of 36 degrees. Port Elizabeth cloudy and warm with temperature highs of 23 degrees with scattered thunder showers. In East London cloudy and warm with temperature highs of 23 degrees and scattered thunder showers. For Vuka Online Radio News, I am Mongez Makalima.
The home of inspiration every day.
Most people give up on themselves easily. You know the human spirit is powerful.
From news,
countries across the globe have been hit by the COVID-19 virus.
Views.
There's a global trend to see an increase in GBV incidences, specifically domestic violence.
Sports.
What's he say? It's a really good ball. It's Shabalala.
And music to inspire you every day. This is Vuka Online, your inspiration radio station.
Strap yourself in because we're set up, switched on, and ready to go.
Vuka Online.
No one decides to go into debt. It creeps up on you. Slowly. Debt follows debt. Follows debt. Unless you do something about it.
Welcome to another episode of PK Unshackled. I am your host, Umakawe Wagakatide. And, thank you for joining us. We feel the love. We see your comments, and we thank you for your support. For those who have not, or who are joining us for the first time, the show is simply called PK Unshackled. And the question is, what is a PK? For those who still don't know, PK is a pastor's kid. Now, we started this show because we want to find the truth, or we want to speak the truth, whatever the truth is. And ultimately, we want you, the listener or the viewer, to find your truth. Now, today, I have a very special guest. So, most of you know that I am Makawe Katide. Yeah, so that's my paternal surname. My maternal surname is Mbuli. But my maternal grandmother is Moloi. And today I am joined by, I'm going to say this because I'll say it once and then I'll say it again. So today I'm joined by His Royal Majesty, Dr. Lucas Moloi. Morenak.
That.
Legaina.
Repeat ngwaneso le kae?
I repeat man, re leboa mohau, re leboa bophelo, re leboa hore re kgone ho thola monyetla wa ho bua.
Mpela check.
Yes. So today's topic, when I spoke to Dr. Lucas to say, what can we discuss, and he said something. And I jumped immediately because it seems for the last few episodes, it's been the theme of the show. So today's topic is spirituality in the African context. And my colleagues will attest that we have been speaking about Christianity and many other things, but the underlying topic is African spirituality. So I look forward to hearing what you're going to say in that, because I remember one time the first time I met you, Nelly Mo Tembisa. And back then I was going through a rough patch in my life. I think it was after my divorce. And I was going through a rough patch. You know, I was in a very bad space. And I listened to you that one time and I'm like, yeah, naga complain. I mean, this man has reinvented himself. Everything that comes your way, you know, you've overcome, and you know, to still have you here, it's truly a blessing. That so let's take a quick break, and after the break, that I'm not gonna hold you from saying stuff. Say what you want to say, how you want to say it.
No,
so yeah,
thank you.
Fantastic. Yeah, see you after the break.
If you could see what I could see, you'd see the determination in a hero's eyes, the vivid colours of magical lands, and the sparkle of my daughter's smile. If you could see what I could see, you'd have a Samsung Galaxy S smartphone. For films, games, photos, and over 100,000 Android apps, the choice is clear. The award-winning Samsung Galaxy S, with our brightest, most brilliant screen, and now over £50 worth of films and games for free. The Samsung Galaxy S.
Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
It's Vuka Online, your inspiration radio station.
Welcome back to PK Unshackled. My name is Makao Katide, and I'm joined today by Dr. Lucas Moloi. Doctor.
Yes, sir.
One of the biggest discussions that we are having as not only Africans in Africa, but the African diaspora in total, is the spirituality element. So, according to you, what is spirituality?
You know, first, before I even get into that, I think, you know, I like the approach to things that you are taking, because most of the times as people, we want the truth. But this truth, then we become very uncomfortable with the truth, because if the truth doesn't suit me, if it doesn't suit my thought, then it is not the truth, you know. And then we then come to a stage where we say it is not my truth. But the truth is that there is only one truth. You know, everything else is convenience. So we need to also get to that and understand that there is a truth and there's convenience. And convenience is how we want to relate to that truth. Now, you know, when you are saying, you know, I have reinvented myself over and over through the things that I've been through. One of the biggest things that at the time when it happened, I never thought that I would be able to come back from, was the loss of my son. You know, and then in Africans, we say it all the time that no parent should bury a child. Parent should bury a child. But you don't understand the impact of that until it really happens. Now, you know, I have fought so many battles. I've fought 3 bankruptcies. I've fought so many battles that I've come through. And because of that, I've gotten to a mindset of thinking that victory is when you have won over a situation, and tomorrow you can talk about that situation and how you have overcome that situation. Now, I lost my firstborn son to suicide, you know, and it was mental health issues. You and then you lose him to suicide, and you sit, and being a person like me, you start thinking that it couldn't have been so bad. What could have been so difficult to, I'm here, I've helped so many lives, I've impacted so many lives. Why couldn't you give me an opportunity to impact yours and all that? But then I realized that was his way of winning. He might not be here today, but he's won his battle, and he's won his battle his own way. And that's what we need to understand, that some of the things are not what we want them to be always. That's how he fought his fight, and that's what victory was for him. Not to be here, not to be in this situation, not to fight whatever he was fighting. And that may not be my victory, but it is his victory, in a way. So I want us to take that to mind when we get into this topic, to understand that though the truth may be one, though the truth may be certain and set, but victory over something, it's not what everyone sees it to be. How I win over a situation is totally not the same as how you win over a situation, or how you see victory over a situation is. Now, the issue of spirituality is how you relate, how you connect, and basically how you become one with the Creator. Now, any man that questions the existence of a creator, of a supreme power, would be stupid. How you choose as a human being to relate to that supreme being, how you choose to connect with that supreme being, it's up to you, and will differ from one person to another. But the existence of that power is unquestionable. And for me, that is where spirituality is. Now, the things that you do to connect to that power is then what we would consider as religion, which is based on really man-made beliefs. Spirituality is not a man-made belief. Spirituality it's beyond our flesh. The spirituality it's beyond our understanding. The spirituality is what is driven by the source that we really hardly understand, the spirit, and then it comes to that where the question always comes of is the spirit and is the spirit the same as the air we breathe, the human being that breathes in and out, is that the same thing? So it is issues such as that we tend not to understand, and the minute we lose sight of such issues, we then are lost in man-made issues, and we forget about the supreme issues of spirituality and human creation.
Yeah, because we grew up in a society. I grew up in apartheid, you understand? And one of the things that was predominant in my life was the church. And the church taught you a certain type of collective spirituality. So you yourself, you become born again, but when you go to church, you can't be an individual. There's this collective spirituality thing. We church together, we praise and worship together, and you understand. And as I grow older, I realized that there was a disconnect. You understand? I did not know the creator personally. You understand? I knew the collectively approved creator. And I started asking questions that, no, man, I'm glad that you mentioned the element of the distinction between religion and spirituality, and unfortunately, the environment we grow up in, or society we grow up in, there's not that distinction. You understand? And from an African context, it's easy for us, to quote, no offense to other religions, but it's easy to quote the Torah, the Bible, the Quran, the whatnot. But when it comes to us as Africans, who do we quote? What do we quote?
Yes. You see, and this is where the confusion comes in. Now, first, if we look at the religion and spirituality, religion is really a specific set of organized beliefs and practices. Where people believe that there was a Messiah that was born, and he was born from this particular the Judah's background, and the practices that goes with it. Practices of we will now take Holy Communion, we will go to church. That is religion. It is made of specific set of organized beliefs and practices. And this is usually shared by a community or a group. Now, when you go to spirituality is more of an individual thing. Spirituality, it has to do with one's sense of peace, one's sense of purpose, and that's what this thing is. Now, the minute we start talking about the group of people and what we believe it's good to do and right to do, we have now crossed immediately into religion and not just spirituality. Some of the religions, when you go into religion in its own, it's normally where people will try to link it to spirituality, because then they can talk to someone's sense of peace and sense of purpose. But the practices that happens around the religion itself doesn't necessarily mean that it is spirituality. Now, when we come into been written down, but it was definitely passed down. And in my social media, that's what I posted today, that the history that is passed down generation to another, it can never be destroyed, no matter who wants to destroy it. Now that's how it was being done. It was passed through from one generation to another. Now, when you look at that, when we pray, in that space as Africans, and that we say modimo mocha rapela modimo wa gale o rapele tlatla matsholo ra moluki jere mojare wa ditshitelo tsa rona modimo diatla di maroba diatla tsa hao di maroba diatla tsa hao di madi ke nna diatla tsa hao di madi ke marotho dia dipula se rapeleng rona le rapele tlatla matsholo ra moluki modimo o diatla di maroba diatla tsa hae di kgathetse ke hore bopa. Now when you are praying in there, you would realize that we give thanks to the God Almighty. With that though, we also give acknowledgement that there is a line that is before him. Now, others may decide that that line before is Jesus. Others may decide that that line before it's Muhammad. Others may decide whoever that line before is Buddha and everyone else. But we all understand that there is a line before this supreme being, which we say Rona ke tlatla macho. We say ke jere. Why do we say ke jere? We say ke jere because ke mojari wa ditshito tsa rona. Now, we may not specifically go and quote a scripture that talks to some of these things, but you would see in the practice of this African religion, in the practice of African spirituality, that there is a source that people speak to, and there is a belief that has been passed from one person to another.
Okay, that was a mouthful. Very interesting. That. So let's take a quick break, right? And after the break, I want you to explain in layman's terms, where did we go wrong in terms of replacing our true African spirituality with salt from there, vinegar from there, thyme, garlic from there? How did we get to a point where African spirituality becomes secondary to all other forms of religion? So yeah, after the break, we'll chat some more.
Thanks for coming. The family really appreciate it.
Oh, Stephen, I'm so sorry for your loss.
Thanks, Hilda. You were always there for us.
Oh, people say time is a good healer, but when my Avi passed, I sold some of his possessions, and it really helped speed up the healing process. Like your grandfather's house in Kemps Bay.
I beg your pardon?
I'd be happy to help you heal, of course.
Now isn't a good time.
I know, what a time to be talking property. A buyer's market, please.
Excuse me, I must go and see my Boba.
Yes, of course. She needs you now more than ever.
Yes.
All alone in that big 4-bedroomed house with off-street parking and a borehole, was it?
Some people just can't stop themselves. That's why the new Volkswagen Golf 7 comes with brake assist. Volkswagen. We make the future real.
You're listening to Vuka Online.
You are rocking with the best.
Welcome back to PK Unshackled. Makawe Katide here, and I'm spending my morning with Dr. Lucas Moloi. Doctor, an interesting fact. You know, one of the things that I think we mentioned during one of our chats was the language Yasekholokwe.
Yes, sir.
Fascinating language. And beautiful. I read some. Yeah, no, it's amazing. And I read somewhere that the language is over 700 years old.
Yes. You see, with language as Kholokwe, it's that it is one of still the original languages that are indigenous to Africa. Sekholokwe mixes Sekata that we spoke originally which then languages like Sesotho would have come from. And you would hear also a bit of Singuni in it. And this was, I suppose, it was indicative of how close people were living together, unlike the popular belief that Africans were not living together and they were fighting all the time and they were spread all over and that nonsense. In the language, you then realize that we were the people that lived together, because in our language, we had we had languages that indicate that these people lived together. Now, Sekgolokwe is one of those languages. When we speak in Sekgolokwe, we will say to you, Khojane. When we want to hear how are you, would say, what are the Khojane? When you listen to that, you would find that it has got a bit of Nguni in it, which says Gunjani. But we say Khojane, the Ho, the G, which is basically used really by Botswana and the Bapedi people. So you have that happening as well. And then we use words like Mpela. We don't say need in Sekgolokwe, we say Mpela. When we are thanking, we don't say Realebuha like in Sesotho, we say Reaboga, which comes from Ubonga. Now, if you listen, you then realize that this language was a language that mixed all the languages that we are speaking today, that seems to have been separated from each other. And those is things that you find in languages like isiNdebele as well. That is what is happening in that language. So yeah, it is a language that is very old. It is as old as Bagolokwe when they move away from the Bakhatla tribe itself and that. So yeah, it is a language that has been there for a long time.
Now let me ask this question, right? So according to Christianity, which was brought by missionaries,
yes,
English is central to almost everything. There's a translation of Bible into Zulu and whatnot, but those translations came from English. Now, the reason I'm asking about Sekgolokwe is the element of identity, the element of history, the element of culture. Now, as Mogoloko, right? How does things like your history, your culture, your traditions play a role in your spirituality as an African?
A great question. The truth of the matter is this: the reason that many of us don't understand or know about African spirituality is nested in the fact that our identity was first removed. And once that identity was removed, we then needed something that we could hold on to. And that particular was then designed to not only give us comfort, but to give us a new identity and to alter our spirituality so that we can believe in a certain religion which brings a certain a set of beliefs and set of practices so that we can be able to fit in a certain box that was being designed for us. And we need to understand that, and we must never run away from these facts, because we've been running away from these facts for so long. We have been in battle with ourselves for so long, and we have become such a violent set of people because of we don't have a sense of identity the identity that we carry ourselves into is the identity that was architected for us. It was designed for us. And that identity, we tend to not fit into it now and then it becomes a problem. So we need to understand that. Where did this thing start? And there is a very deliberate effort in how things were done. It was very deliberate to write history and say in the history that is written that the first European people, I don't like using the name black and white because I've never seen a black and white person. I've never seen a black or a white person. All I've seen is European, I've seen Africans, I've seen those. And maybe before I go into this, I should explain my feeling about this. We are the only people in Africa where we use color to define people, where we use black, white, and those. And the reason for it to happen is simple. It's so that you cannot marry people to the land. Now, if you say someone is an African, you mean that that person belongs to the land of Africa and the land of Africa belongs to him. Now, if you say this person is black and this one is white, you have taken away the issue of land. So that land can belong to any one of those people because they are not married to the land. They are black and white. The land belongs to all of them. When you go to Europe, you hear that people are Europeans. You hear that people are Japanese, people are Chinese, people are Indian. People are always called by the land that they come from because they belong to the land and the land belongs to them. In Africa, we don't say Africans, we say black and white, so that the land does not belong to any of those people. It is anyone's land. Anyway, now, when the Europeans came into this country, when they say, your history, when you read it, that is written, it will tell you that the first Europeans arrived in this land in 1856. It is deliberate that you are told that they arrived in 1856. Because they want you to believe that everything that they did to you before 1856, it was never them, it was yourself. Now, if you look, Livingstone was sent in Southern Africa. David Livingstone was sent in Southern Africa in 1840. But history starts talking about these people in 1856. In 1840, when Livingstone was sent to Southern Africa, here was Livingstone's mission. Livingstone was brought here to come and teach us how to read and write their language, English. That's why he came. Go teach them how to read and write English. Why? Why do we teach them how to read and write English? Because when the second group comes in, that group will bring with it the Bible, it will bring with it the religion. So we need them to be ready at the time when this comes. They should be ready to accept it. They should be ready to embrace it. And they can only be ready to accept and embrace it if they can read it and understand it. So that is why these things were done deliberately. When Livingstone came, he then started on the mission of teaching people how to read and write. Then he started teaching the people about this great religion that is practiced in the West. And when they arrived, they then brought the evidence of this religion in their Bibles and everything. And that's how we got into this religion. So the first thing was to take away the identity. Now, when they took this identity and that, how did they take this identity? The first thing is to take not the land, but to take the things of the land that identify the land. What am I talking about? When Livingstone came, he went to Musiwa Tunya and he named it Victoria Falls after Queen Victoria. And then it became Victoria Falls. And then he said, it was said that it was said that Livingstone discovered Victoria Falls and named it Victoria Falls. When it was called Muswatunya and people were drinking of the water there, and animals were drinking of the water there, and we were standing underneath the falls of Victoria Falls, Muswatunya. And when you listen to how we speak, when you listen to our praise songs, we speak of Muswatunya. Mahuluko will tell you today that the grave of the great founder of Mahuluko Moranakhetsi is in Muswatunya. That's what they will tell you. They not of Khetsi, of Morana Tabane. Morana Tabane, who is the father of Mapedi, Mahulukwe, Baputing, Batokwa, Basia. Those people are the people that are told that those are the kids of Morana Tabane, and we are told that his grave is in Muswatunya. But someone comes in 1840, discovered it, and renamed it. And this was the mission. Rename the things that they identify with. Rename the things that give them the sense of identity. Call those things by our names, and then we shall control the identity of who they are.
Yeah. No. That was a profound history lesson. I'm inspired. I didn't know that history. I mean, I read a lot on African culture, but that history about there being a significant grave in Victoria Falls of our people, I didn't know that. Anyway, let's take a quick break, and after the break, we will chat some more. Yeah, man, I'm and I can see the passion in your delivery as well. Yeah. All right. See you after the break.
Perhaps it's because we're a family, or that we've been making whiskey together for over 5 generations. That at Grants, we believe friends aren't the people you do things with, they're the people you share things with. Discover a different angle. Grant's Whiskey.
Please rise. Court is now in session.
Don't miss the Law in Action with Thokozani Dladla every Monday from 6 to 7 p.m.
Simply the Vuka Online.
Thank you for tuning in to PK Unshackled. Makawe Katida here, and thank you for joining us on vukaonlineradio.co.za. I am spending my morning with Dr. Lucas Moloi. Doctor, after the break, you were just giving me a history lesson that is I'm very passionate about finding out exactly, not the textbooks, not the books written by people of the fairer skin which talk absolute nonsense. I mean, there's some that are historically correct, but the majority, I can state that they're absolute nonsense. They misrepresent our culture, our history, our origins so much, and it feeds into this narrative that you're saying that we were meant to be detached from everything. You understand? But my question now is, okay, so now there's an emergence of people like me. I mean, it's not a hidden thing. I'm born again Christian, but most importantly, I'm a Zulu man. You understand? And I don't want to be this type of father who feeds his kids Christianity more than their culture, more than their identity, more than who their great grandfather was, more than the fact that there was somebody called King Shaka. We understand, and who's King Shaka? Not the textbook guy that we read about who was barbaric and whatnot, but the heroism. He's a hero. How have we not celebrated those types of stories where real African heroes must be celebrated?
Look, we need to understand exactly that. When you speak of Ukatide, who do you speak about? Umasoboda, Ukatide, and that is now the sense of identity that was removed. Now, the first mission was take the identity of their surrounding, then teach them how to read and write your language, so that they can communicate with you in their language. And this is so painful to the point that so many years afterward, we are communicating now, you and I, we are using their language, just so that more of us can be able to understand and grasp what we were talking about. So they have won, and they will keep on winning many years to come, because their battle was not what we thought their battle was. Their battle was not what we fought for in the Battle of Esandlwana and many other battles. That was not. Their battle was to make sure that we don't have any identity that excludes them. And that starts in spirituality. I said to you when we started, spirituality is about an individual. It's about purpose and peace. Now, if your purpose in life and your peace cannot exclude them, they have won. Because spirituality speaks about them being there. And we are afraid to let go of that. Because when we let go of that, we are threatened about burning in hell. And these things were very deliberate. They were very deliberate, that we know that after 100, 200 years, 300, 600 years, there will come a generation that says, to hell with this. We want to know who we are, and we want to live who we are. And when that generation comes, we must have created something that generation will be afraid of. And that thing that generation is still afraid of so much is this hell that you are going to one day die and go to and burn in it forever. Now, when you come and I come to you and I tell you about my ancestors, it then offends you because you have been taught that they have died and they have went to hell or heaven and they are burning there. So they can't be coming back to me.
But another thing that we've been told is that they are insignificant.
Yes.
And that is
being told that they're insignificant, because what you need to believe that your life as an African child begins with your grandfather and ends with your child. And your child will think that it started with your father and it ends with their child. And that's the belief that they've created. They don't want us to have the belief and the understanding of 400 years ago. And I said that is important. When I talk of my ancestors, I can now, in a lineage, repeat my ancestors up until 1480. I can call them by name. And that is very powerful. Now, why did they come and do this? So the first one, teach them the language, rename the things that they can identify with on their land. Second phase, bring in more missionaries that are now going to come and spread the gospel and teach them the gospel, but most significantly, baptize their leaders. When the missionaries came here, when the Jan van Riebeeks and them came here, you must remember, the biggest mission that they were on was to baptize the kings. They baptized those that allowed them to baptize them. But what they then did is that those that were refusing to be baptized, they destroyed them, and new nations were born. Morena Moshweshwe was baptized. And after he allowed to be baptized, all Marena Alengalite that fell under that group, they were all taken, their nations were all taken, and they were given to Morena Moshweshwe, and they made up what is called today Basotho. There was nothing like Basotho before.
Yeah.
When you sit and look, people are saying, number one, Makhulukwe ke Basotho. How can Makhulukwe be Basotho when Basotho were born in the 1800s? And Makhulukwe speak of Khetsi, who was the son of Taban. And now we are talking about the history of the 1500s. We're talking of people that were born 400 before Basotho were born, but you want to come and say Makhulukwe ke Basotho. Now, we need to understand why these things happened. You know, these things happened because those that don't want to be baptized, those that don't want, Shaka refused to be baptized. He was amongst those that refused to be baptized. And those that refused to be baptized, their kingdoms remain the enemy of the states forever, because they refused to take the religion that they were given, the religion that they were told that it is the only religion. If you don't follow this religion, you will go to hell. What type of religion spreads that? What type of a person of God spreads that only? Fear. That's all it is. Fear. People must be fearful. They must not question things. They must remain fearful and not question things. And you must tell them, don't communicate with your ancestors, they are demons. That was exactly to remove and detach you away from who you are, so that you cannot be able to have a link to the land. And if you don't have the link to the land, if the tree does not have its roots in the ground where it was planted, that tree will fall with any winds that come across. That's why with any winds that come across, we fall.
Now, let me ask you this question. Quick one before we take a last break. Is land important to our spirituality as Africans? Because the reason I ask, the Christian faith doesn't say anything about the land. So anything that's beneath you, it belongs to the devil, because the devil is underneath. And we all look up. Now, I have a problem with that. You understand? I have a problem with that. There's no ownership of land. But let's discuss after the break. Let's take a quick one.
Look for Starbucks coffee in a grocery store near you, then sit back and enjoy the exceptional taste of Starbucks at home.
Strap yourself in, because we're set up, switched on, and ready to go.
Vuka Online.
Okay, welcome back to PK Unshackled. I'm your host, Moloi Katide. We are having a discussion that is definitely changing my outlook towards one or two things, and it's empowering to learn about, you know, people who care so much about a history that they can even name their ancestor from you said 1400s, in the 1400s.
Yeah.
I don't even know my great grandfather because of he's not important. You are going to heaven. If you focus on him, you will go to hell and burn. But Doc, in closing, what would you like to say in terms of spirituality and or spirituality in the African context? I think what we're going to do, we will definitely need a part 2 for this because there's so much that there's so many questions that I have for you in terms of and I'm glad that you understand your lineage. So when I ask you a question, it won't be guesswork like no, I think I don't like I think I like facts and the truth. So what do you have to say in closing about spirituality in the Africa? We're talking about the land, by the way, or maybe let's keep that for our next discussion.
This one of the land.
Yes.
You know, the issue of land is very important. Now, remember, and some of the things you must look for them in the undertones. Now remember this. Land is very important in Christianity. Land is extremely important. Christianity talks about land everywhere. When they tell you about Jesus Christ, they immediately tell you ke Jesu wa Judea. When they talk about Petros, they will tell you ke Petros wa which land. When they talk about Job, they will tell you wa which land. They always in the Bible, it talks about Syria, so the issue of land is everything in spirituality. In an African culture, why is it so important? It is because that is where your roots are planted. That is where your ancestors are buried. Now, you can't just uproot yourself from that. Where your ancestors are buried, that's where your roots, that's where your seed has been planted. In an African spirituality, our customs and that, when the child is born, after 14 days and that, when our the cord reanka remukute moriri ha re keta o kuta moriri re ngwanona gwane e wele re nke le yona, and then we bury it at the corner of the property that we are living in, at the corner of our house. We bury it there. Why do we go and bury the first hair that is cut from the head of this child? Why do we bury the umbilical cord of this child and the hair at the corner of the house? Because that house is where the roots of this child is. That's where we plant their roots. Now, that is why spirituality is so important to us to understand. Why are we doing some of the things? And we bury it there and we say, this land, in this land, it's where you shall belong. Now, in that time, we will say, this is where we have buried part of you when you first came in this world. This is what came with you and what fell for you to be able to live in this world. When you leave this world, we will take you and we will go bury you in the same plot, in the same farm, in the same yard. Because before they came, we didn't have these farms and plots and that they had. We had land, and we will take you and we will go bury you in the very same land, because that's where we buried your beginning. And we will bury your end there, because that is the soil that this tree that you wear has lived in. Now, it's very important to understand spirituality and why, as Africans, we did some of the things that we did before we were told that those things were backward, they were barbaric, they were uncivilized, and many other things that we were told. And once we believed that story, once we were able to read of their book and speak of their language, we forgot all those things and we treated those things as things of Stone Age. And we found new ways of doing things, and we found new pretty clothes and spoke a prettier language, and we forgot and lost who we are as Africans.
Fantastic. So, Moloi, this needs a part 2. So we'll schedule it and we'll film it. But thank you very much for your time, and thank you for pouring out your knowledge, pouring out your heart, telling us the story about your son. By the way, our deepest condolences. Like you said, a father should never bury a child. It should be the other way around. But our deepest condolences. And so in conclusion, I mean, there's still so much to learn. I'm learning today. Normally, I know stuff about other stuff, but today I'm learning, and hopefully the part 2 will be more insightful and we'll learn more. It will be nice to learn more about, the journey, the spiritual journey of your people, your Majesty. Thank you for your time. Thank you for tuning in. That's all we have time for. Adios, amigos. Makawe Katide here, signing out.
Hi there, this is Samohanguna. Catch me every day just after 3 p.m. for Vuka Sports Hour, where we speak everything sports only on vukaonlineradio.co.za. See you there. Please see you there.
It is time for Vuka Online News.
Welcome to Vuka Online Radio News at this hour. The Democratic Alliance has on Saturday rejected a proposed deal by opposition parties that would have seen Action SA leader Herman Mashaba regain the mayorship of the city of Johannesburg. The U-turn comes after the party held a meeting of its federal executive to discuss coalition agreements for the city of Tshwane, Nelson Mandela Bay Metro, and Johannesburg. The DA said the party will not form any part of the chaotic coalitions that depend on the economic freedom fighters to stay in power. Just on Friday, several opposition parties, including the ACDP, UDM, Action SA, COPE and Freedom Front Plus, released a statement indicating that the DA will lead a coalition in Tshwane, while Action SA would take the helm in Johannesburg. But the DA has resolved to put forward its own mayoral candidate for the City of Gold, saying that it will not support Mashaba for mayor because it depended on EFF support. Responding to the DA's decision, the multi-party group called on the DA to honor its commitment to keep the ANC out of government in the metros. China has officially downgraded diplomatic ties with Lithuania in protest, the foreign ministry in Beijing said on Sunday after Taiwan established a de facto embassy in Vilnius. Lithuania allowing Taipei to open an office using the name Taiwan as a significant diplomatic departure that defied a pressure campaign by Beijing. China balks at any official use of the word Taiwan lest it lends a sense of international legitimacy to the island, which it considers a part of its territory to be taken one day. Taiwan announced in July that it would open the office, its first new diplomatic outpost in Europe in 18 years. That prompted a fierce rebuke from China, which withdrew its ambassadors from Lithuania and demanded Vilnius do the same, which it eventually did. China also halted freight trains to Lithuania and stopped issuing food export permits. Only 15 countries officially recognized Taipei over Beijing. Ratings agency Standard & Poor's did not release a review of South Africa's credit rating, citing unchanged factors since its last review earlier this year. The move was in line with most analysts' expectations and means South Africa remains on its BB rating with a stable outlook. In a note early on Saturday, the agency said in instances in which our review determines that the key rating factors are unchanged, we do not generally release a public report. An improved economic performance, largely on the back of higher commodity prices, which helped boost mining sector profits and tax revenues, were among the reasons S&P affirmed the country's rating in May this year. Isam Mhlongo, chief economist at Alexander Forbes, says what also helped South Africa in staving off a further downgrade was the revision of national accounts, with the size of the economy now 11% larger than estimates in 2020. In the last 24 hours, the cumulative number of COVID-19 cases identified in South Africa is 2,929,175, with 887 new cases reported. 10 deaths have been reported, during bringing the total death rate to 89,572. The cumulative number of recoveries now stand at 2,820,994, with a recovery rate of 96.3%. 24,632,287 people have been vaccinated so far. In your sports, Saturday's 27-26 loss to England at Twickenham means the Springboks end 2021 with a win percentage of 61.5%, having won 8 and lost 5 of their 13 tests. That included a British and Irish Lions series win, as well as a stunning triumph over the All Blacks in the Rugby Championship in Jack Ninebe's first full year as head coach. But there were defeats to the Wallabies twice, while the All Blacks and Lions also knocked over the world champions once each.